Hello everyone, Mr. Vessel here, and right now I wanted to look at a common question I've been getting, which is it worth it for me to take the AP Stats exam this year? And I thought it'd be smart to just create a little video, maybe do a little statistics, and see if it's worth it. So that's what this video is going to be about. I think this should help you make your decision. Before I even ran through some of these values, I kind of figured it would be worth it for most students. But here's the question I'd like you to think about before I go through some of this stuff is, if you had to guess the probability that you pass this exam, what would that number be? And what I want to do is take a second and sort of work out some statistics with some values and sort of talk about how you can maybe make a better decision for yourself here. So if you haven't thought of it, think of the probability that you're going to pass this exam. And I know that might be a difficult number to kind of gauge, but I'd like you to come up with some sort of prediction. And if you've got some values that I'm about to show that are a little bit different, you could definitely substitute these in. But here is one way you could help statistics make your decision for you as you kind of work your way through this decision. So let's take a look here. What I've got is, so far, this is basically one of two options happens when you take this exam. You pay for the exam, which is $94, and then there's the amount that you could win, basically, by getting credit on the exam. And this figure here, this $2,107.22, actually comes from using Michigan State University's tuition. I'll explain it a little bit here. Where this value is coming from is MSU has a flat tuition rate, and that number's $14,524 per year as long as you stay within 12 to 18 credits a semester. And statistics is a 4-credit class, and then I also added in the cost of the book. So this value of $2,107 is the year of 2019-2020. I've added the book, which was $140 for this semester, and the tuition, which is an average tuition here. That's another important point here. So if a student takes 12 credits each semester, this actually goes up quite a bit. It goes up to almost $2,400, or actually $2,500 if a person only takes 12 credits a semester, and it can actually be less than this number too. It could be a little over $1,700 if a student takes 18 credits a semester, which is a little bit high. So the number I've got here is the average of the two. So this assumes about 15 credits or a semester, or 30 for the year. So that seems like a fair assumption to me. And obviously other schools are going to vary from this number. I chose MSU just because it's nearby, and a lot of us are thinking about going to MSU. So that's where this number came from. And again, if it's a value that you feel is over or underrepresenting your cost, then you could feel free to adjust this as you do this for yourself. And then here's the two unknowns, right? What are the probabilities of these two events? So it's really just one of two options. P represents the probability you pass the exam. And if that number is a number that you think you could use that value here. This would be the probability that you fail the exam. And again, passing, in my eye, means you're going to get 3 or better. And I think many of you should really have maybe a higher p-value than what you might give yourself, but this is the probability you pass. And again, some schools don't take 3s for college credit, so you might want to use the probability you get a 4 or higher as this number here. But what I did, instead of sort of fixing a number for p and kind of playing around with values, I thought about it in terms of what would be the number that I would want to have an expected win, basically, in the long term. So what I've got next is the expected value calculation. This should look pretty familiar. So the expected value of this exam is just the cost of the exam times the probability of that occurring, and the amount you could win times the probability of that occurring. So this equation can help calculate the expected value, but what I'm going to do, instead of using a number for p, I'm actually going to start with the number 0. So 0 is the break-even point. This is the number that if you were to play, by play I mean take the AP Stats exam over and over and over, this would be the probability where you break even. And maybe that's not a good goal, right, for many of you, but I think it's a good place to start, and what you're going to find here is hopefully this part of the equation makes sense. I distributed the negative $94 to get negative 94 plus a 94p, and then this part's just the same as before. You can add the like terms, move the $94 to the other side, and once you divide, you can find the p. So this p right here, what this represents, this 4%, a little bit more, is that if you've got a 4%, 4.27% chance of passing the AP Stats exam, you would have an expected value of 0. And many of you, this is a very low number here. This is the break-even point, and I understand that if someone says, well, yeah, I think I got a 10% chance of passing this exam, that's going to give you a positive expected value, but maybe you don't want to take the risk of, that would mean that you don't pass 90% of the time, and that's something that you got to weigh out and sort of consider. But when you sort of put it into the statistical term and looking at expected value, it does not take a very high probability to make this worth it for you in the long run. So I thought this would be a nice quick video to help illustrate a probability statistical aspect, or tool I should say, for determining whether or not you should take this test. For the most part, I think everyone that signed up should be taking this test here on May 22nd. So hopefully this helps. If you've got any questions, comment below. I'd like to hear your thoughts on this. So thanks for listening, and take care.